Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you, and once again, welcome, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur romantic. Welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want to engage with you. I want you to be part of the show, part of the conversation. So find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Rizzle at Colt S. Taylor, and catch up with all of my other adventures at ColtSebastianTaylor.com. All right, my friends, it's time once again for the Saturday Report. First up this week is an update to a story, one of the first stories I did, actually, when I started doing a show here on AWSM Radio. Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr., and he had a fight night, and I'm going to review the results of this right now. So there were 5 fights that evening. There was a featherweight, 2 lightweights, a cruiserweight, and a heavyweight fight. In the featherweight, Edward Valquez defeated Erwin Gonzalez Jr. in 8 rounds via scorecard. Jamie Ortiz beat Suleiman Segawa via technical knockout in 7 rounds, and that was the undercard. Now it's time for the main event. Beto Jack defeated Blake McKernan in 8 rounds, unanimous decision. And then the fight that I think got a lot of attention, almost as much attention as the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., Jake Paul, noted YouTuber, I guess you could say, who has dabbled in professional fighting, fought Nate Robinson, who is a former NBA star. Nate Robinson making his debut appearance in a fight. Jake Paul defeated Nate Robinson via knockout in the second round. And then Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Went all 8 rounds in an exhibition match. It was not officially scored, so there was no official winner. But reviews were very evenly matched. So some people say that Mike Tyson won. Some people said that Roy Jones Jr. won. It was a successful bout, I guess you could say. However, the real star of the show, Snoop Dogg. Yes, Snoop Dogg. He was on color commentary, and there were a lot of reviews about how great of a job Snoop Dogg did at commenting on boxing. Now, I did not watch the entire card, nor did I pay for it, because I'm not much of a boxing fan, but clips of Snoop Dogg commenting on the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson fight, he was pretty good. I enjoyed it. He made a lot of good comments, was funny, started singing a bit when when Nate Robinson went down. He did a very good job. Like, if Mike Tyson were to do this again, and he plans to do so, I would definitely get Snoop Dogg back as a color commentator, because he did a great job. And also, in further follow-up, after this match, apparently Floyd Money Mayweather has agreed to fight Jake Paul in a match. He feels that he can take on Jake Paul. Now, listen, Floyd Mayweather, he's a pretty talented boxer. I don't know. This might be too much for Jake Paul to bite off. I saw Floyd Mayweather fight the Big Show at a WrestleMania, which was very entertaining and whatnot. It's one of those several boxing wrestling crossover events. Obviously, we knew who was going to win, but I guess I'll be following to see Jake Paul take on Floyd Mayweather come 2021. But my money's on Floyd. My money's on Floyd on that one. Next, we move on to science with another update to a story I believe I covered a few weeks ago, but the world's largest iceberg is careening towards South George Island in the South Atlantic. It is about the size of South George Island. It is a huge, tremendously huge iceberg. Broke off in July of 2017, and they've been tracking it all this time, and it's about to run aground on this island, and it's going to heavily impact wildlife in the area, including seals and albatrosses and penguins. It's going to crush a bunch of sea life in the ocean floor as it runs aground, and it's going to affect the environment immensely. It's going to affect wind patterns, currents. It's a major environmental event that scientists will be looking at very closely. But it's pretty amazing that this giant iceberg meandering around the South Atlantic Ocean, which is pretty cold, is going to run aground on an island. And it's probably going to be there for quite a while. It's not like there's balmy conditions. It's not like there's balmy conditions in the South George Island. There's not much going on there other than a place for penguins and birds to make a pit stop in. It's a big iceberg, and it's funny, they can track these things via satellite because they're so big, and then occasionally they will drop tracking beacons on, I guess, the thickest part of the iceberg so it doesn't fall off when it melts, so they can better understand where these things go. Now, obviously, icebergs, they're not as much as a threat to shipping as they used to be, let's say, in the Titanic era. But, like I said, they do severely impact wildlife in the area. Some of these icebergs even have colonies of penguins living on them. Very hapless penguins just meandering around, wondering why they can't go, why the sun's in a different position every day. And scientists don't have a very good way to get the penguins off the islands, off these icebergs. They just hope when the iceberg finally melts that the penguins are near land so they can swim over to it and get back onto land or an iceberg. So this iceberg is going to be running around within days or weeks. It depends on the winds. It depends on the currents. After it runs aground, it'll affect winds and currents in the area. So scientists will be watching this very closely in the South Atlantic. Moving along with additional science news, a new species of beaked whale has been discovered off the western coast of Mexico near the remote islands of San Benito, which I've never been to. 3 scientists have found a unusual acoustic signal that they could not match with other whales. All whales, have, their sound underneath the water, and they're all pretty similar, of the same species. A humpback whale is going to sound like other humpback whales. And they found a whale sound, an acoustic sound, that they cannot match with other whales. So they believe that this is a new type of whale. They don't have any pictures of this beaked whale, beaked whale, B-E-A-K-E-D, beaked whale yet. They're going to be looking for it. They are noted for its lack of teeth. That's what a beaked whale is. They don't have a whole lot of teeth, or only have a few teeth compared to other whales. So they're gathering evidence. They want to get some more photos. They're searching through photos people have posted that maybe someone has caught a whale that was misidentified. But pretty exciting. You usually don't find, new species are discovered every year and whatnot, but they're usually small, like germs or bugs or insects. But it's very rare to discover a large seagoing mammal like this. So scientists are looking to find more information about it. They don't know how many there are. Are they endangered? Are there a lot in this area that people just haven't noticed before? So if you're a whale scientist off the coast of western Mexico, this is a very exciting time for you. And I'll keep my ears open for this and see if there's any more interesting information about this new whale discovered off the western coast of Mexico. Moving on to entertainment news, and I was very tickled by this story. I really liked it. Can't wait. So happy to bring it to you. Lifetime, which you probably have that channel. They have a lot of dramatic movies, a Lifetime original movie, things like that. Well, they're having a Lifetime original mini movie, A Recipe for Seduction. Yes. Starring Mario Lopez as Harlan Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders. Yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken is producing a mini movie, obviously to promote their chicken, with Mario Lopez being Colonel Sanders. The trailer is just straight up campy. I love it. I can't tell you, I enjoy it a lot. Mario Lopez, I guess, is the cook. There's an affair. There's an evil mother. There's a boyfriend who's having an affair with the mother, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot going on. I'm going to check it out. But once again, KFC, my tip of my pith helmet to my friends over there. Fantastic stuff. I think this is just a brilliant idea. And, I think, the KFC folks changing the Colonel Sanders actor so frequently, at first I thought it was, oh, that's weird, but now I am all for it. In fact, KFC, I'd be more than happy to portray Colonel Sanders for a commercial for a reasonable nominal fee. I think it'd be funny because I don't look anything like him. I just have a big old red beard. I think it'd be great. But I think it's great. I'm going to check it out. It debuts December 13th. So today is the 12th, right? Yeah, the 12th. So tomorrow, December 13th, I believe at noon on Lifetime. You should really, really check it out. I'm going to check it out. I will give you a review of this mini movie next week. But also, I'm bringing this up because something very fun actually happened regarding this movie. I did a 1-minute version of this news story on my Rizzle channel, which you should watch at Colt S. Taylor on Rizzle. And then I posted that video on Instagram through Instagram stories. And I tagged KFC, Lifetime, and Mario Lopez in it and talked about this going out. And guess what? Mario Lopez sent me a private message of just like the flame emoji. So he watched it and then consciously sent me basically a thumbs up that he liked it. So it was really was amazing to see you have a message from Mario Lopez. Like, what? He watched it and he thought the video I made on Rizzle was very good, and couldn't be more tickled that he enjoyed it. So hey, that's some good fan service right there. Some good fan service. So I don't know if my further review of that movie will cause him and I to become best friends, but maybe I could be best friends with Mario Lopez. I mean, I'm adorable and funny. I'm going to be a good wingman. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be working out with him, but I'll watch and encourage. So anyways, Mario Lopez, let's be best friends. I think we can be best friends. But if not, that's fine. I understand you're a pretty busy person. But everyone else, you should definitely check out A Recipe for Seduction, a Lifetime world premiere mini movie on December 13th. Check your local listings. And my friends, as you check your local listings, go right back into that appointment book and mark down these times: Fridays at 9 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m. Why? Because that's the time my pal DC has his show, DC Live in Effect, right here on AWSM Radio. He is AWSM Radio's in-house DJ, and he mixes it up every Friday and Sunday. So you do not want to miss him as he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from his South Florida compound. He moves around every week. We don't know where he is. He just connects to us remotely and just slams out the beats. In fact, I don't know if Mario Lopez listens to DC, but if we become best friends, I'm going to recommend to Mr. Lopez that he listens to DC Live in Effect right here on AWSM Radio. Speaking of music, you may have heard, but Bob Dylan, one of the greatest music writers of all time, sold his music catalog for $300 million to Universal Music, which is, that's a lot of money. He has worked decades upon decades, so, I mean, he definitely has put in the miles to earn that much money for that big old payday. But $300 million for his entire music catalog. I mean, other than the Beatles, there's very few folks that have that sort of song catalog. Stevie Nicks has a very prolific writer, but that's about it. Now, an interesting thing, well, first off, congratulations, Mr. Bob Dylan, on your $300 million. But an interesting thing that has popped up recently is that apparently another music consortium offered him $400 million for his song catalog. And he turned it down, which is very, very, very interesting. The other music group was known as the Merrick McCoody's Hypnosis Songs Fund. Maybe he turned it down because it's such a hard thing to say, but apparently they put a bid close to $400 million, and Universal Music Publishing Group, according to reports, got it for $300 million. So either one of two things happened. Either A, he sold it for non-financial reasons, decided to go with Universal, or it was more than $300 million and they're just lowballing it to the press. So hard to say. But what is known for sure is that now Universal owns about 600 Bob Dylan songs. That's their songs to use as they basically see fit. Now digital music is threatening a lot of these music publishers, but this definitely will help them. I'm confident they'll be able to recoup their money with all of these magnificent Bob Dylan songs. But like I said, a lot of music companies are being threatened by digital music, self-publishing music companies out there. So these big old music consortiums, the industry is changing. The industry is changing. They are under threat. A lot of them are struggling financially or under pressure. So this purchase, it's pretty good. I would not be surprised that if we would see other famous artists selling song catalogs for mucho money to these big music companies. I believe Stevie Nicks actually also sold a stake in her music catalog to, I forget who. This is something about Bob Dylan, but I'll do something about Stevie Nicks sometime next week. But anyways, something definitely to watch to see if any other artists out there sell their music catalogs for a tremendous amount of money to these companies. Bob Dylan may not be the last name you hear selling their songs. We'll see. Next, it's time for an update to a story I did several times, and I thought about doing this at the top of the show, but I wanted to save it for the middle of the show because I think it deserves its own sort of middle segment. Monoliths. It's a monolith update. I'll probably do the beginning of the show next week, but I just want to save it for the middle. Didn't want to take anything away from Mike Tyson. But there's been more monoliths showing up. There's more monoliths. As you will recall, just for those who are tuning in for the first time, several weeks ago, wildlife officials were counting animals in the park, and they noticed something shining down in the canyon. They landed their helicopter, went down the canyon, and there was this monolith just hanging out down in the canyon. Like, you could not see it easily from the ground unless you were down in the canyon or up in the air. And they inspected it. They were a little afraid to touch it because, 2020 is kind of weird. But it was just some art installation of a monolith being put into the Utah desert. So took some pictures and they said, well, all right, well, this doesn't really concern us. It's not really hurting anything. It's technically private property, so we'll leave it be. Some folks found it, took some pictures in front of it, and then it disappeared. There's some photos of people taking it down and hauling it off, but no word on who those people were, and they had no idea where it came from in Utah. But that was not the end of it. Another monolith appeared in Romania. Again, no idea how it got there, who put it there, and again, it vanished a few days later. And then it continues. A monolith appeared in California for a few hours. However, that one was taken down by some religious zealots who thought it was an affront to God. So they took it down and live streamed themselves destroying it, which, kind of a jerk move to do. And then another one was found in the Isle of Wight, which is an island amongst the British Isles. Again, no idea how or when it got there. Another one has appeared in Colombia with a golden hue. And all these monoliths are a little bit different. They're not all exactly the same. Some are clear, some are fuzzy, some have a golden hue. No one knows how it got there or why it got there. And then with the monolith craze going on, some folks have put up their own monoliths. One was put up in Pittsburgh in front of a restaurant. El Paso, a museum in El Paso decided to put one up. And, of course, there are many, many, many memes out there on the internet of what these monoliths could mean. Someone posted, there's an artist that made monoliths who passed away in, 2011, made the museum that holds all of its work, made a joke about, oh, there's our missing monoliths. Fireball Whiskey said, did anyone try opening it? And they photoshopped it being just a huge fridge full of Fireball Whiskey. Not a sponsor of the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor, although they should be. So we'll see what happens. Again, I do not think this is some sort of aliens or UFOs placing these around, and pretty soon a portal will open underneath the Pacific Ocean, and then we have a Pacific Rim situation. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is a combination of artists and folks who want attention. But, in terms of getting attention of international news, it's worked. I've seen this covered on major news networks. I'm covering it. I am kind of major news network. But we'll see what happens. No, again, I would love to know how this started. What was the genesis of this idea of, hey, let's put a monolith in a Utah canyon. And then either A, it was okay, after that, let's make sure we put one in these locations. Or B, some guys go, hey, I got a monolith in my garage. Let me go put it up and see how long it takes for someone to find it. So, no monolith in my area that I'm aware of or in my yard. I was tempted to put one up, but I do not have a large foundry to make a monolith. I just don't have, I got a lot of things here. 5 pith helmets, a collection of whiskey and other booze, but no monolith. It's just the one thing I do not have. Figures, right? Next, I came across another story here that made me go, oh boy, 2020. About another mysterious illness affecting hundreds of people, resulting already in one death, this time in India. Apparently, this mysterious illness was causing, seizures, vomiting, frothing at the mouth, and giddiness. And doctors and scientists at the time were completely baffled of what was going on. They couldn't quite identify what was doing this, but it was spreading, apparently. And I was like, oh boy, here we go again. Cannot catch a break. However, this morning I did some follow-ups here. Fortunately, not fortunately, people are feeling ill and whatnot in this part of India, but it looks like they're coming up with a possible cause of what's going on. They think that these symptoms are being caused by nickel and lead intoxication. So somehow amounts of nickel, which is an element, and lead, which is another element, have gotten into the water or food system in that area. People are ingesting it and they're experiencing intoxication or toxic shock from these metals. Now, why would that happen? Well, animals eat areas where this might be pollution and other animals eat those things. They get in their bloodstream, end up in their meat, and then they get caught and used for food, end up in people's systems, and that's basically how you get these metals in other people's systems causing these problems. So like people sit down and eat a bowl of nickels for lunch, it's in the water and food that they eat here. So, but testing will continue. They're still trying to narrow this down and find a source for this issue. But at this time, fingers crossed, knock on wood, it does not look like this is another sort of COVID-19 issue that's going to be bothering us in 2021. This looks like a local pollution issue that they've been, which caused a lot of bells to go off, like, whoa, boy, here we go again. But it looks like this is an environmental cause due to heavy metals being picked up by whatever and somehow getting into people's system. Still got to figure out, connect point A to point B to point Z to figure out how that's going so they can stop it. But fortunately, it's not something that is an airborne issue. So to my friends in India, I hope you are staying well. They are still dealing with their own COVID-19 outbreak over there that's getting up there in terms of spiking of cases. They certainly don't need to deal with another thing out there. So hopefully over there, my friends in India are staying safe, wearing a mask, washing your hands. We're getting hopefully towards the end of this whole COVID-19 stuff, and hopefully this other issue they're having, they'll be able to sort out pretty soon and figure out where this nickel and lead is coming from. One thing that the COVID-19 outbreak has derailed is the Olympics. The Tokyo Olympics, which were supposed to be held this year, are, I guess, hopefully going to be held next year in 2021. I believe the first time it's been on an odd year ever. Hopefully they can get that in. But not talking about the 2020 Olympics. I'm talking about the 2024 Olympics in Paris, France. Oui, Paris. Guess what is coming to the Olympic collection of medaled sports? Breakdancing. Yes, breakdancing will be an Olympic sport in 2024. Baseball will not be. You might say to yourself, well, Colt, that's weird. Baseball's for everyone. Baseball's popular in the United States. It's not so popular everywhere else. Soccer, or the football, is the worldwide sport that everyone gets into. But breakdancing will be an Olympic sport. I guess it's got enough popularity. It does take some skill. I mean, I watched an exhibition. The Olympics have exhibition sports, like sports they're considering to put on the docket. And I watched an exhibition, and holy moly, like my knees and elbows hurt just watching them. Basically they have a dance battle, and they go back and forth dancing, either individually or in pairs. And I guess they have to hit a certain amount of moves. And there's an artistic and technical aspect to it. So really, for me, it makes perfect sense that this is in here. And it'll be entertaining because they're trying to connect with a younger audience. But if you think about it, ice skating, you're skating and you're dancing. You're ice dancing. You're ice skating. This is like ice figure skating, except there's no ice. And you can do a lot more twists and turns, and you're not going to fall on the ice or anything like that. But it's a lot of physical training, a lot of coordination. Synchronized swimming is an Olympic sport too. So it was shocking, like, wow, breakdancing, that's a weird sport. But if you think about it, makes sense. It makes sense. I'll definitely catch a few, I guess, matches, contests. I don't know what they call breakdance. I don't dance, so I don't know what the official term is when two people have a dance-off. Maybe dance-offs. I don't know. But I feel like that the United States here will have a very good chance at getting up there. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, practically every country has probably a pretty good shot at this. We're just talking about the ability to people can train and learn and whatnot. This is pretty wide open. So I think the United States will have a lot of competition. I know Europe has a lot of breakdancers. South America, Africa, Australia. Every continent really has really good breakdancers. I imagine there's a Mongolian breakdancer that's pretty good. So this should be interesting. I wonder, though, like, I'm just thinking out loud right now, I wonder if, like, each country will have a different style or, like, a sort of moves that are unique to their country. This is very interesting, very interesting. So come 2024, Paris, France, Summer Olympics, breakdancing will be a medaled sport. We'll see who takes gold, silver, and bronze. I can assure you, though, my friends, I will not be participating because I have no coordination whatsoever. Now, what should be an Olympic sport, I think, is hosting drive time evening commute shows on the radio, because if there was, my pal Rox will get the gold medal because she hosts the Rock Sessions right here on AWSM Radio, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style. She is on Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. She is fantastic. You should mark your calendars, set reminders, have someone come over, knock on your door, and tell you from at least 6 feet away while you're both wearing masks to listen to the Rock Sessions right here on AWSM Radio. Keeping with music, Taylor Swift has been busy this pandemic summer. She's released another album, the second since things really started to heat up here in the United States. She has released Evermore, which is a sister record, apparently, to the one she released earlier called Folklore earlier this year. And it's actually, Evermore is her third album in 16 months. She has been very busy recording music. Has gotten, from what I understand, to be good reviews. I'm not a connoisseur of Taylor Swift music. Certainly enjoy listening to her, but I would not know what a good Taylor Swift song is from a bad Taylor Swift song. However, I think that it's great that, we have all been trying to keep ourselves busy when we can't go out doing our usual routines, and she has decided to make more music. She has that luxury, which not all of us has, but congratulations on a new album from Taylor Swift. Fun fact, she's actually lived for a time around where I live here in Pennsylvania. Our paths have never crossed, unfortunately. I'm sure her, me, and Mario Lopez will be best friends if we did. But she's doing pretty good this year in terms of putting out music. She, of course, has a sort of a on and off feud with Kanye West and the Kardashians, which has energized fans of both camps to be a wee bit obnoxious, but she's plugging right along. So congratulations to Taylor Swift. I don't know if any of her songs will end up on Rox's Drive Time show. Again, I am not a Taylor Swift expert, but I just wanted to note that she has been busy during the pandemic. I've been doing radio shows. She's been putting out albums. We'll see who buys a new car first. My guess is on Taylor Swift. But congratulations on the new album there, Ms. Swift. Now on to business news. I like to keep things varied here. Airbnb, which is a app which you can rent out rooms or houses from other people, kind of disrupting the whole hotel industry. Well, after many delays, they finally had their IPO, their initial public offering, for those who are not well-versed in the whole world of finance. An IPO is when a company wants to raise money. They're selling stock to the public for the first time. Big banks usually get on this, and big hedge funds usually get on this. And a good IPO will help raise money so they can expand and secure their, business future. So it's now no longer a privately held company, but now a public company. Initially, the IPO put their shares at $68 per share. So if you wanted to get in on the action, you could buy them at $68 a share. Well, after 1 day of trading, it finally stopped. The price rose and rose and rose and ended close to $148. So more than doubled the IPO of that company in one day of trading. Hot trading, very popular. Obviously not concerned that COVID-19 is going to impact this company going forward. So basically, if you were to buy $10,000 worth of shares of Airbnb when it first opened, by the end of the day, you had $20,000 worth of shares. So obviously, they'll probably take a few more dips as people will sell and take their profits from buying it. But pretty amazing stuff that it doubled in one day. Airbnb now has a market value of $100 billion. Yes, B with a billion, $100 billion. That is what Airbnb is worth. Boy, I wish I had a good idea like that, because I would love to be worth 1% of that. Moving on to the world of other hatted adventurers, Indiana Jones is coming back for a fifth and final movie. Harrison Ford, the old battle wagon, is coming back for his fifth Indiana Jones movie. It's going to be in theaters in July of 2022. This will be his last movie he's doing as Indiana Jones. He's getting up there in age, so you can't really go beyond that. I'm sure they'll reboot it in 10 years as it is. It's not being directed by Steven Spielberg, but rather by the director of Logan, the Wolverine movie, and Ford versus Ferrari, James Mangold. So I like both of those movies, so I'm interested to see how this works out. As you know, there are 4 Indiana Jones movies. There is Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, the Crystal Skull one, and now this one. Now, of the 4 previous movies, the last one, I was not a fan of. It was all right, not great. The third one, though, Indiana Jones is one of those movies that each one gets has its own traits and has its really strong fan base. I like the third one. I like Sean Connery as Indiana Jones' father. Was really, really good. Temple of Doom, pretty good. Raiders Lost Ark, also very good. So we'll see how this one goes. I hope they end the Indiana Jones series well and not terribly. We'll see. Fun fact, urban legend. So as you know, Harrison Ford plays Indiana Jones, also plays Han Solo. There is a film theory that Indiana Jones is the dream Han Solo is having while he's frozen in carbonite. I'm sorry, this suddenly turned into a nerd show. Sorry, Star Wars nerds out there will appreciate this. So basically, he got frozen in carbonite in Empire Strikes Back. He's in that for a few years before he's rescued in Return of the Jedi. And the theory is that while he's frozen, his mind is trying to keep itself sane. And so he has this sort of fever dream where he is Indiana Jones. And they point to little hints to Star Wars throughout these movies, because Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are friends, that's why this could be true, because his brain still remembers his Han Solo life. So there are references to Star Wars in all these movies. So you're welcome. Feel free to bring that up at a drunken party. And feel free to credit me for telling you about this weird movie theory. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, here on AWSM Radio. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, as always, you can find me on the Twitter, the Instagram, the Rizzle at Colt S. Taylor. So please feel free to engage with me on there. Tell me if there's any stories I'm missing. If you want to yell at me, whatever. I enjoy the engagement. I like the attention and whatnot. And of course, if you haven't already, you should by now bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com so you can keep up to date with all of my adventures and what I'm doing and things I'm testing out. It's just a go-to site for all things Colt Sebastian Taylor. And my friends, listen, wherever you are today around the world, things are kind of getting tense with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So please, just for a reminder from your favorite redhead to you, wear a mask, wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from people. Lots of people I don't want to be close to anyway, so very convenient for me. Maintain social distancing, and we're have to be more than halfway through this. It's going to be over before you know it, but don't mess up this last stretch. Be safe, be healthy, so you can join me here every Saturday for my Saturday Report. Well, my friends, until next time, I am, of course, as always, your friend, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.